Ever wonder how a doctor solves the ultimate mystery? What's actually wrong with us? I mean, it's one of the most high-stakes questions we can ever face. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the fascinating step-by-step process of medical diagnosis.
Just think about it for a second. It could start with something as simple as a cough that won't go away, a weird ache, or, just that feeling that something is off. How on earth did they take that one single clue and navigate this huge maze of possibilities to land on a definitive answer? It's almost never that single aha moment you see in the movies. Not at all. In reality, diagnosis is a journey. It's a careful investigation that moves from a broad suspicion to a specific, confirmed answer. It's part science and, honestly, a whole lot of detective work. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to follow the diagnostic journey through all its key stages. We'll start with solving the initial mystery, move through screening, tests, and imaging, all the way to getting that final confirmation. And then we'll take a peek at the future of diagnosis.
Okay, so every diagnosis starts right here, with the very first clues. This can be anything from your medical history, something found during a physical exam, or just a symptom you've noticed. This is ground zero. This is where the whole investigation kicks off.
Now, for a lot of people, the first real step is what we call screening. You can think of this as proactive medicine. It's about actively looking for early warning signs in people who feel perfectly fine. And that right there is the key distinction. A screening test does not give you a diagnosis. Nope. Its only job is to flag the likelihood of a disease. It's basically an early alert system that helps identify a smaller group of people who might need a closer look. A lot of these are probably going to sound familiar, right? Routine blood pressure checks, mammograms, pap smears. These are all classic examples of screening, and they're designed to catch potential problems as early as possible, because that's often when treatment works best. This really lays out the fundamental difference. Screening is for people without symptoms to check the likelihood, but a diagnostic test, that comes next for people who do have symptoms or got a positive screen, and its job is to either confirm or completely rule out a disease. Two very different goals.
So what happens when a screening test does raise a red flag, or when a patient comes in with specific symptoms? Well, that's when we move into the diagnostic phase. We're not just assessing likelihood anymore. Now we are gathering some hard evidence. What's really interesting is that diagnosis is definitely not one size fits all, even for a single condition like diabetes. Doctors have a whole toolkit, and choosing the right one means weighing the pros and cons. The A1C test, super convenient, gives you a long-term average, no fasting needed. The FPG is a classic, really well established. And the OGTT, it's more sensitive, so it catches more cases, but it takes a lot more time. The choice really depends on the whole clinical picture. And hey, the clues aren't just hiding in our blood. For certain neurological conditions, things like meningitis or multiple sclerosis, doctors might need to do a lumbar puncture. You've probably heard it called a spinal tap. They collect and analyze the cerebrospinal fluid that cushions the brain and spinal cord. And that fluid can hold absolutely vital clues about what's going on. All right, now let's get to one of the most powerful tools in the entire diagnostic arsenal, imaging. This technology is incredible. It basically gives doctors a window into the human body, letting them see things they could never see otherwise. So two of the heavyweights in imaging are CT scans and MRIs. And as you can see here, there's really no single best option. A CT scan, which uses X-rays, is awesome for looking at things like the lungs or the colon. But an MRI, which uses powerful magnets, is way better for imaging soft tissues like the brain or the prostate. It is all about picking the right tool for the job. And this technology is evolving at an incredible speed. For something like a stroke, every single second counts. There's an advanced technique called diffusion-weighted MRI, or DW-MRI, that can spot brain changes in as little as 30 minutes. I mean, that is a massive leap from the up to 8 hours a conventional MRI might take. It just means doctors can start treatment that much faster. So after gathering all these clues from screening, tests, and imaging, you've got to get to the final step, confirmation. This is where doctors need definitive, undeniable evidence to make that final call. In medicine, this is often called the gold standard test. It's the method that's considered the absolute most accurate and definitive for confirming a specific disease. It's the benchmark that all other tests are measured against. For many cancers, that gold standard is a biopsy, While an imaging scan might show a suspicious mass, a biopsy, where a tiny tissue sample is taken out and looked at under a microscope, is often the only way to know for sure if those cells are cancerous. It provides that final critical piece of the puzzle.
So, as you can see, diagnosis is this methodical journey, from a vague clue all the way to a confirmed answer. But it's not always a straight line, and the destination itself, well, that's changing too.
Yeah, the journey doesn't just end with getting a name for what's wrong. Sometimes classifying the exact type of a disease is the next big challenge. For instance, get this. Up to 40% of adults who develop type 1 diabetes are first told they have the more common type 2. That can mean they don't get the right treatment right away. But what if we could see the journey before it even really begins? Researchers studying type 1 diabetes have found that if kids develop specific markers in their blood, these little early warning signals from the immune system, an incredible 84% of them will go on to develop the disease within 15 years. This is a total game changer. It means we could move from diagnosing a disease after it shows up to predicting it years in advance. This opens the door to something called predictive screening, identifying people who are at super high risk long before they ever feel sick, and maybe, just maybe, finding ways to delay or even prevent the disease entirely. And that brings us to a final, pretty fascinating question. For centuries, diagnosis has been all about solving a mystery that's already unfolding. But as our ability to predict disease gets more and more powerful, will we one day reach a point where there's no mystery left to solve at all?